You know, the more people you interact with in life, whether it be socially, professionally, romantically, the more you come to realize that everyone has a story that they want to share, something that they want to talk about with someone else. It's just that for that person you're trying to connect with, you have to make it so that they're comfortable with sharing with you. And the way you connect with people is essentially just by asking them genuine questions, like in-depth questions about who they are, what they think, their perspectives, etc. You see, the reality is that nobody actually likes small talk. I'm not saying that there isn't a place for it. Like, for example, maybe you're in an elevator, maybe it's to the lady bagging your groceries, a coworker in another department, some employee that's helping you out at customer service. Like, there are some situations where you can utilize that small talk if you know that they're not somebody that's going to be a significant part in your life. You know, just somebody that you're seeing in passing. But anytime you want to make a genuine connection, whether it be your boss because eventually you want a raise or a promotion, or maybe it's like friends you want to make or women you eventually want to be with. If you want to establish those deeper connections, you have to ask those elevated questions. I'll give you an example, right? And this is something that I do a lot on dates. If you're on a date with a girl at the beginning stages, right? At some point, you or her are going to ask, how are you? How was your day? How was your week? How have you been? Etc. And what I like to do is I'll ask, how's life been treating you lately? How are you? And then she'll proceed to say something along the lines of, yeah, it's been good, or yeah, it's been okay, or proceed to talk about work or school or being busy and her hobbies and things of that nature. It's essentially the basic conversation starter to the point where people are wired to say, I've been good or I've been okay, even if they're not. But instead of just saying, oh, that's cool, and then proceed to talk about myself, which is what a lot of guys do, I'll then say something along the lines of, yeah, that's cool, but I didn't ask you how work is, or I didn't ask you how school is, or what you've been doing on weekends. I asked you how you are. And the reason why I do this is because, number one, I'm breaking past the surface level conversation I know she's had with 99% of other guys. And number two, I'm showing them specifically when it comes to women that I actually care about them as a person, which is how you get them attached. And the third reason why I do this is because, and this is a really important point, in the beginning stages, this is how you get them feeling comfortable with opening up to you. You see, what you gotta understand is that almost every single person is going through something in life, in their head, especially when it comes to women. Most people deep down inside are stressed, worried, anxious, overworked, tired, maybe even sad or depressed or have trauma about something, etc. Especially nowadays with how romanticized mental health has become, or, you know, so many people on antidepressants, Lexapros, smoking, drinking, doing drugs for a reason, by the way. The point is, most people are going through something that they want to talk about, or something in their life where they want to get off their chest. And this is what you have to understand about people in general. People want a connection. It's those conversations that really make someone feel connected to you. It's just that if you want to connect with someone, you have to make it so that they're cool with opening up to you. And the way you do this is by showing genuine interest or curiosity, or what's going on in their life, or how they feel, what they think, their perspectives, etc. That's how you make someone feel like, oh, they genuinely care. And it's funny because one of the girls that I'm dealing with right now, she said what she remembered about our first date the most was that while we were saying like how we were doing, how's life and all that, I asked her if she was happy. And she said that no guy has ever asked her that before. And obviously I knew that, right? Like, I am a people person. I know how to connect with the person that's in front of me. You know how to make someone feel understood, how to make someone feel related to, how to make them feel heard or seen or listened to, and just having those deep conversations. And of course, use a bit of common sense, right? Don't just be deep the entire time. Especially if you're on a date, right? You gotta mix it up. You gotta flirt, charm, game, make her laugh, joke, etc. And also, something else you need to understand, and I've mentioned this before, is that people love talking about themselves. People love being heard. People love being seen. People love being validated. So if you're on a date, right, women love feeling understood. If you're in a professional setting, right, your boss loves feeling respected. How do you make him feel respected? By making him feel heard. By making it feel like you're actually listening to them, which is how you make them feel like you respect their authority. And if you can establish that connection, that can definitely help you in the long run. If you're trying to make friends, right, people love feeling related to. When you have something that you relate to with someone else, now you guys have a shared interest. Now you guys have a shared experience. Now you guys have things in common. That's how a friendship is formed. So what I personally like to do is that my general rule of thumb when I'm trying to connect with someone for whatever reason, I like to keep 70 to 80% of the conversation on that person. So when he or she is talking about themselves, you just have to show genuine curiosity in what they're saying. And you do this by asking them feedback questions, reacting when they say or make a point, nod your head, say yeah. Like, people love when you're subconsciously affirming or validating what they're saying. And bro, trust me, when you make that person, especially if it's a woman, feel like they're being listened to, people will absolutely love being around you, talking to you, because people love talking about themselves. People love sharing their experiences, their feelings, their thoughts, and being able to express themselves. They're associating those positive emotions with talking with you, with interacting with you. Therefore, they're going to want to keep being around you for those positive feelings. Let them talk about what they want to talk about. You just give them the alley-oops in the conversation. Every time they open up, every time they give you an inch, ask them questions that make them expand upon that situation. Ask questions that invite vulnerability in a natural way. Like, don't just do it out of nowhere, right? That's where you use a bit of common sense. Don't just be like, yeah, so tell me about your traumas, like straight up out of nowhere. People often say don't talk about exes on a first date. Like, that's a general rule of thumb. Like, oh, why would you want her talking about another guy? And I completely disagree with this. Because you gotta remember, he is her ex for a reason. 99% of breakups end negatively. When's the last time you knew somebody that spoke positively about an ex? Now, I'm not saying use this in some type of manipulative way, because you do also end up learning a lot about her. But at least for me personally, I think it's a great way for establishing a connection and seeing where her head's at. For example, right, you might ask something along the lines of when was your last relationship, how many relationships have you had, which is a common question on a first date. And then they'll probably say like, oh, a few months ago, or lasted about 8 months, or 1 to 2 years, etc. And then you can go, mind if I ask how it ended? And then that's where she begins to open up. You see, recency bias is a real thing. And something that I noticed from talking to a lot of people is that their perspective on love, dating, and relationships is going to be based on their most recent experience. When they talk about that ex or that previous relationship, which again is probably going to be negative, you gotta understand that you are currently the new guy that's in front of her. So you can, number 1, establish that deeper connection because she's opening up to you. You can, number 2, learn about her current perspective on relationships. And number 3, you can quite literally be the living contrast, which makes you look better subconsciously in her mind. For example, right, you ask her something like, mind if I ask how that situation ended? She'll probably say something like, yeah, I don't know, he was just really controlling and it was toxic and he was insecure and he didn't like me dressing a certain way or going out, or he didn't like my guy friends, etc. Whatever she's gonna say, right, you don't have to fully agree with her because it's probably better not to, because women senses when a guy's like agreeing with them too much and it raises a red flag. You might say something along the lines of, yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't really like if my girl dressed provocatively, but some guys can definitely go overboard or be controlling and insecure. Automatically, you look so much better in her eyes because she's contrasting you with her ex. Because now subconsciously in her mind, you're the guy who she's opening up to. She's investing in you. You know, you're the guy who's genuinely listening to her, giving her a reasonable take, but you're not just fully agreeing with whatever she says. Now you look that much more attractive, right? So whatever the conversation topic is, ask questions that invite vulnerability. Even a conversation topic like exes, right, which everyone tells you to stay away from because they don't know how to navigate it, it's so much more effective for establishing that connection than talking about work or the weather or what's your favorite movie, or her talking about rock climbing or hiking or the Avengers or Tate McRae or whatever her hobbies are. Again, I'm not saying that there isn't a place for these topics, there certainly is, but this type of boring ass small talk isn't going to get you anywhere when it comes to establishing a connection. And that connection, again, especially with women, is how you get them attracted to you, is how you get them to like you, is how you get them attached to you. You have to go into those deeper conversations that make them want to open up to you. Just try to remember that connecting with people is all about making them feel something on a deeper level. You want that understanding from somebody that makes you feel warm inside. So you do this with deep conversation and by telling stories and sharing experiences. And again, exes and relationships is a great example, even though everybody tells you to stay away from it. But it's not just limited to that, right? You can talk about friends, family, social circle, what she really wants to do, dream aspirations, etc. Like, something I've come to realize through talking with a lot of people is that most people aren't doing what they truly want to be doing. Most people either dislike what they're doing or simply tolerate their current circumstances. If you can understand people on this level and draw from these topics in a natural way, there's not a single person that you're not going to be able to connect with. Even if you want to talk about things like fears, goals, anxieties, worries about the future, childhood, traumas, like, they'll probably have something to tell you. And again, this especially applies to our generation because a lot of people think they have something wrong with them, even if they don't. Just try to remember that everyone deep down inside wants to share. People love talking about themselves. It's just that most people don't have that opportunity to. If you ask any woman, they'll tell you something that they absolutely hate the most on first dates is when a guy simply talks about themselves and doesn't ask about her. You gotta focus the conversation on that person if you want them attached to you. You know, be understanding, be reflective, share maybe 20% back about yourself, challenge her on a few points here and there, make her laugh in between. Bro, if you can hit all those points, I guarantee she will crave your presence and she will love talking to you. If you're trying to make friends, same exact thing, right? Getting people to connect with you is all about your ability to have those deep conversations and make them feel a positive emotion. People like you based on how you make them feel around you. And if you can make them feel those emotions, they're always going to want to be around you. This is how you make people feel special. Anyways, hope you guys got some from that. Check out the Patreon if you want to see more content, more reactions, etc. I break down some dating app videos on there. Follow the IG if you want to be closer to me. Sometimes I'll show you guys bits and pieces of my life here and there. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, feel free to book a call. And with that said, make sure you guys stay true. Talk to you guys real soon. And I'll see you at the top. Peace.